All right, stream is live.
That's funny, JMA. Says no fat and then put all that fucking sugar syrup in your shit. Dude. Brutal day for the market, huh, Deja?
Yeah, man, it's doing the Max Payne scenario.
For real, dude. I'm in Square. Look at that fucking daily. Holy fuck.
Oh, I know. I'm just mostly in cash. I'm getting rugged on the things that I am holding. I'm got a little bit of Facebook, a little bit of Petco, a little bit of PayPal, uranium. My positions that I am holding are bleeding, but it's not much.
Dude, there's some big ass companies on discount right now.
Oh
Like
yeah,
big
I'm
days.
I'm I'm
Crazy.
waiting. The day will come. I don't think it's today. The job numbers were 50% worse than expected. No, I don't think we're due for a bounce. Is this Traders Anonymous emotional support group? It is. It is actually. Please state your name and say how much you're down for the day.
I'm not opening any of my long term shit.
Oh, I know. That's the worst thing you can do right now is pull up into your 401k.
Yeah, I don't touch that.
Dude, why not? You don't want to shit yourself real quick?
No.
I bet there is a lot of people out there who like check their 401k like every day. It's like, how
Yeah,
do
it's
you do that?
the worst thing you can do for your mental health.
Yep.
Yeah, you want to check in and be like, oh, fuck, I'm not going to be able to retire for another 5 more years because you
Yeah.
checked it today.
Dude, like honestly, if you know what's in there, if you check it once a month, you'll probably be fine. Like there's been like big huge studies that say that people trade more positions as opposed to like the argument of like someone that just buys ETFs or mutual funds. And typically the winning result is the person that just sets it and forgets it and never interchanges anything.
Yeah, because it's like the saying goes, if you can't beat the index, you shouldn't be trading.
Correct.
And the index has been slaying the past few years. Yeah, Sean, they've been doing that lately. Like when the morning opens, it starts to run a little bit, it traps you, and then it nukes. I only took one scalp today, and I'm beating myself up because I closed it way too early. I took this trade based on our strategy with the VWAP and the bot, but I closed it for about 20 points. And look at that thing now. It gave you 90 points. Jesus. Damn, a lot of you guys are hurting today, huh? I see you guys talking in chat. You guys are getting hurt. This is a scary move. I think this is one of those moves that it's gonna wreck a lot of people because like they were saying, or I was saying earlier in Discord, the Zero Hedge article that came out yesterday, he was talking about how retail is like aggressively buying, but hedge funds are aggressively selling. So smart money is closing fucking everything, and
They're
guess who's
closing
buying?
books positive right now. That's why, because they're up big on the year.
Yeah,
And when they go back and do a fucking filing to say what they produced through their fund last year, they're gonna have a great return.
Well,
The
they're
fucking
also
2-3 weeks of risk isn't worth it for them.
they're
Let's just
also
get their
loss
money now.
harvesting. They're harvesting the losses so they can write it off on their taxes.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, you have a lot of smart money closing right now because it's the end of the year, and you have retails just brainlessly buying everything. We talked about it in our morning call. Go ahead, Connor.
I think today's gonna wreck a lot of people.
Oh yeah. Especially with the morning pump. The morning pump made it look like it was that was the bottom.
Nasty big out. Yeah.
Yeah. But like we talked about in the morning call this morning, if you guys listened in, the first headline that we actually let me find the headline. I have it in my notes. So here was the first headline that we went over. U.S. stock index futures extended gains on Friday after data pointed to weaker than expected job growth in November, helping ease some concerns about faster tightening of monetary policy. And I talked about how on the morning call, how that is the most ridiculous headline I've ever heard, but it's the perfect example of what kind of market we're in right now. We are in a bubble where the stock market actually wants bad numbers to come out because that means that the Fed has to continue to help the economy and keep printing money and fucking buying bonds, and you know the deal. But when really bad numbers come out, the stock market wants to go higher because they're like, oh shit, the Fed's not going to start tapering. They're not going to accelerate their taper. When in all honesty, we should be seeing what we're seeing today. That this is a proper move with that economic report that came out. The non-farm payroll was, what was it? It was like 230K compared to 500 and something K expected. Less than half of expected. So we should be nuking today. This is a proper move. And one of the biggest problems is that, like that headline I just read, they assume that if these bad economic reports keep coming out, that they're going to postpone the taper. I don't think they're going to postpone the taper. They're going to keep accelerating the taper because of what we talked about earlier. They're afraid of inflation. Inflation's starting to scare the shit out of them. You know it's scaring the shit out of them because they're finally admitting that there is inflation. And they're saying that we should retire the word transitory. No shit, we should have never been using that word in the first place. So if inflation is scaring the shit out of them, they do not care if the non-farm payroll is coming out 50% of what was expected. They're going to continue to taper, and they're most likely going to continue to accelerate the taper, which is historically bearish. Tapers are not good for the market. It doesn't have an effect long term. Long term, it's actually good for the economy. But short term, it is bad for the stock market. So I think all these people that are like praying JP says great things and says that he's going to postpone the taper or decelerate the taper, it's just not going to happen. I don't see it happening. They are more afraid of inflation than they are of a stock market pullback. And the worst case scenario is happening right now. We had the fake bounce off the 50 and then nuke. And then it's most likely gonna keep doing this the entire way down. Fake bounce nuke, fake bounce nuke. And you guys can just keep doing the 618 strategy the entire way down. So now that we had today, it gave nearly the perfect sell. And then what was it? It was Monday, gave nearly the perfect sell right here. November 29th to November 30th, perfect sell. So now we can take today's nasty sell off. And I'm going to redraw this in a second, but for now, let's go ahead and move this. So now tomorrow, or not tomorrow, Monday, if Monday bounces into 45.63, that's still a continuation of a down move. That is not a good bounce. And you can just keep doing that all the way down. 618 retrace, nuke. 618 retrace, nuke. Like I've been saying for weeks now, what you want to be doing is scalping short term or buying up bags for long term. You do not want to be trading anything that's like, oh, I'm going to take a swing trade and close it in 3 to 5 days. Oh, I'm going to take a trade and close it tomorrow. You shouldn't be doing that. You should be scalping very, very short term or waiting for dips and loading up on your long term. If you guys are doing anything in between that, then you're probably getting wrecked. Find some boomer names that are historically extremely bullish, that do very well on weekly, monthly charts. The dips are basically non-existent on a 2 to 3 year time horizon. Things like Costco, basically any big retailer like that, Walmart, McDonald's, Johnson & Johnson. Even big tech. The problem with big tech is I think we've got a lot more downside. So starting to scoop up big tech where it is now is a little scary. Microsoft hitting our lower target pretty soon. Apple, I probably wouldn't start loading up my bags until we got down to like 152-ish, 147. Facebook, I did want to buy some at 300. I didn't see this move today. But I still think we could break that 300 level, maybe sweep it down to like 288, 290. Netflix, you smashed our lower target. Our lower target was 612. Our next target is 590. So if you got 590, if you got 580, that wouldn't be too bad. 572 is the 200 EMA. Amazon, you're hitting our lower target at 3343. Next target is 3265. 61 actually. And then 3,200. Wouldn't be too bad to pick up around 3,200. The problem is, this was one of the most bullish charts I've ever seen on Amazon monthly, but it became a fake out. So it's pretty bad news. But towards the bottom of the range, anything around 3,000 is massive long-term support. So keep an eye on that. Tesla's a little bit of an outlier, because Tesla honestly is extremely volatile and could fall much farther than the other big tech companies. And yes, I do consider Tesla a tech company. I think they're a hybrid of a tech company and a car company, obviously. But the first major level on that's not until 910. And then you have another major level around 880 and then 760. If you're looking for major dips, like look at the monthly, that's bad. That's really bad on Tesla. You close the top doji, evening star, and then now it's what, the 3rd? It's December 3rd. And look at this fucking monthly candle already. It's pretty bad. But if we close anything like this, the textbook tells you that it's going lower. So I think we definitely have some room to fall. I'm mostly cash right now. I am taking a beating on the things that I am holding, but I'm waiting to deploy my cash. I'm going to lower my averages by a lot. So by the time we do start bouncing, it shouldn't take too long for me to make money back on those long-term positions. I thought about closing them and harvesting the loss for taxes, but there's such small positions right now because I have not built into them that the tax loss harvest won't even be that much. And you would have to wait for over 30 days to buy them back, or you're going to get a wash trade. So let's go over Bitcoin real quick, and then I'll catch up with chat. Bitcoin still failing the pivot, lost the support at 55.8. The big supports that we've been waiting on are 527, 523, and then 50,000. Ethereum invalidating the bulldog. It was a sloppy bulldog to begin with, but it still looked pretty good as long as it held on to 44. Didn't do it, lost 44, losing the 50. The next major support is 4,000 on the double pivots. putting in a lower high though, so this could go much lower. It's so brutal because this time of year, November, December, this is typically the most risk on time of year you want to be. Like November, December, April, that's when you want to start sizing up and taking big positions and getting paid. And that's when they chose to nuke the market. So that's why it's so brutal this year. Most people are probably very heavy in their bags, and they're paying the price, which really sucks. It truly does. November should never be this bearish. It is, in hindsight, obviously, one way to look at it is November and December are historically extremely bullish because it's right at the end of the year, and then you have all the holiday shopping, right? So the retailers usually do very well, tech companies usually do very well. But with this year, the reason that it's different is the supply chain is completely shot. And then obviously we have the tapering. The tapering is the main reason. But those are the two reasons why November was not as bullish as it was last year or any of the years before. And that's very easy to say now that we've seen November close, right? So it's definitely hindsight. Yeah, the strategy is doing very well, Sean. I've been trying to post a lot of examples in Discord for you guys to kind of give you an idea of how it's doing. And it's doing very well. Why are my VWAPs not loading? What's going on? My trading view is like glitching out. I don't know what's going on. Hey, Internet. We talked about Z yesterday. It bounced off the pivot at 39, and you said it's up 45% off that pivot? Really? Let's take a look. Oh, yeah, right off that level. There you go. So you had the pivot right here. It tapped it. It tried to break through it, but very weak. And then it bounced right off of it, and we're up 35%, hitting the 200 and the 50. So both of your main resistance levels here were hit, and then you have a pivot up here at 71. That could be your main target. Your trading view's messing up. Dude, it's been really slow the past few days. And I know it's not my computer. I always go check my task manager to see if my computer's getting fried. But it's just trading view. It's just glitching out. I don't know if the desktop version auto updates. I need to check and see if I need an update. Little bit of a bull div coming in, very small. Could send us back into VWAP. What do I think about Dixie? I think it's a little toppy right now. I did close my Dixie position. We held our Dixie position all the way from March. One of the longest trades I've ever had. And we nearly closed the top. I missed the very top. So we missed this last impulse right here. But we closed during this impulse right here. So we held all the way from March, which was nearly the bottom. And then we closed right here. So we missed this last little move. But I think it's a little toppy. I do want to get back into it, but I have to see some kind of pullback here. This is a lot of sell pressure right here. I knew there was going to be a lot of sell pressure around 97 to 96. We talked about this in Discord a lot. If it can get back to like 95, I might start building a position again, build it from 95 to like 90, probably like 94, and then go for another impulse up to 98. But right now it's not really, it's not worrying me too much for a pump. I've been keeping an eye on the yields. The yields are nuking, which is really good. It's really good for growth. The 10-year and the 20-year are nuking, which sadly, if we didn't have this market sell-off, if we didn't have the tapering, the growth should be doing very well. But growth is getting slaughtered. I think it was on Monday or Tuesday during our morning call, I read that one headline from the Bank of America analyst about how they are very long on value stocks over growth stocks. They think growth stocks are in a bubble as well as bonds. They think bonds are in a bubble. And as of right now, they are right. The value stocks are outperforming growth stocks pretty heavily. Little buy signal coming in here. This would not be a part of the strategy, but it could send you back into VWAP. You had a couple of strategy signals today if you're following my new VWAP bot strategy. The main signal was the one that I took right here. You did have one pre-market right here. And you had another one pre-market right here. And another one here. So you had a lot of pre-market signals, but I don't trade pre-market. So we actually missed those. We did take this one, sadly, for less than a quarter of what we could have made. 20 points is what we got. We could have gotten 90. The reason I closed, let me go to a regular chart. The reason I closed was we had a nice little impulse down. So I wanted to close into strength. Then you started to sell off like right here. But then it recovered the low. So once it recovered the low of that candle, I got out of it. And then sadly it ended up being a fake out, and then we nuked again. Bitcoin's nuking. Is it still going? Oh yeah, it's getting wrecked. Did it hit that pivot yet? What's the pivot at? Yeah, so we just hit the pivot and we just hit that 52.7 support. So you're entering that zone where if you're like a long-term trader, you're looking at holding this for at least a couple of years. I think building a position around 52 to 45, 46 is not a bad place to build a position. Worst case scenario, it goes back down into this zone right here, and you just continue to build your position. Let's actually, I'm going to pull up Quant Tower real fast. Let's see what's going on here. You said it appears that crowd has support around 192 to 195. I'd be very careful with those companies. They have been selling off pretty quickly. The data companies, they've had a few bad earnings. You have like Net, DDog, Crowd, what's the other one? FSLY. Okay, let's take a look at Quant Tower here. This thing is nuking. What's my button again? Oh, hold on. I got to do something real quick so you guys can see my screen. Okay, now you should be able to see it. Nope. Hold on. There we go. Nice little sweep so far, though. Very good sweep. If you guys remember back in those order flow videos that we made, I told you guys how to identify these sweeps, and you have a beautiful one right here on the 1 minute. It's the highest volume candle. You started to create a very long bottom wick, and then you saw a nice little reversal there as well. Hey, Vicky, you said thanks for sharing the strat. Nailed it today on Bitcoin. Awesome, man. Were you using the 3 minute bot strategy? It did have a really good signal on Bitcoin today. Look at that. You're still in the sell too, all the way. Holy shit. That's a really good signal. Good call. It gave you the sell, nuked VWAP, so you would have entered once you started having VWAP support. And then it gave you a 9% sell off. Disgusting. How long did you ride that, Vicky? To be honest, even if I was in this, I probably would have closed somewhere around here. Once it started hitting the third deviation of VWAP, that's like extremely extended. You could have waited for the buy signal on the bot, which you have not gotten yet. So if you were using the bot in its entirety, you would still be short. But if you were looking to get out, probably would have got out somewhere around here. 3%. That's a pretty nice scalp. You got out at 6%. Nice. Very nice. Oh, sorry, you guys can't see my screen. I forgot. I've been trying to show you this the whole time. But yeah, you had the sell signal up here. This is the one that he's talking about. And then it nuked all the way down 9%. Right here is what I was talking about. This is probably where I would have closed if I traded this, because you're very extended on VWAP. The 3 deviations is extremely extended. So once you started to bounce right here, this probably would have faked me out. 2, maybe 3%. But if you're waiting for the bot, you haven't gotten a buy signal yet, so it's still nuking. That wick is probably some shorts closing. Definitely, yeah, definitely shorts closing. You probably have some dip buyers in there as well, for sure. Not too many dip buyers though, because you can see over here on the cumulative delta is extremely bearish. If there was a lot of dip buyers, this delta would be pushing a lot higher. This is another one of those trades, man. I fucked myself again, where I sold the top almost, but I didn't short. Because we sold our Bitcoin and our Ethereum damn near at the top, but we did not short. Shorting in this market is just very hard. There's the pivot on Ethereum. There's the pivot, the 4,000 support. This is major support on Ethereum, all the way down to 39.30. You break the double pivot, probably go down to 35 to 36. Let's take a look at Ethereum on the Quant Tower. Nasty daily candle. Really big sweep on Ethereum. Look at that beautiful sweep. Highest volume candle, that's the first thing you look for. Long bottom wick. And then you have that retrace on the next few candles. Very nice. Not sure why my weekly profile is not loading. Oh, it's loading the volume analysis, that's why. Oh, that bottom is almost a perfect value area low retest from way back on December 28th, or sorry, November 28th. The value area low, you can see it extends the line all the way out, and you almost get that perfect test. Okay, there we go. Now we have the volume data. Tim said it may be too early to say that we're in a bear market, but does options trading become more difficult in a bear market? Do spreads increase? Not really. The spreads, it's what you will see is you'll be seeing less volume on the call side and more volume on the put side. But the liquidity, as long as the stock that you're trading typically has high liquidity, it will normally have the same liquidity. The liquidity will not change very much. Because no matter if it's a bear market or a bull market, the tickers that are widely traded still remain widely traded. If that makes sense. You'll just see more open interest and more volume on the put side. You will also probably see more volume and open interest on the farther out contracts for the call side. For example, if you guys were trading during the COVID nuke, if you had a cheddar flow or any kind of like call scanner, we were getting insane call activity for farther out contracts. Remember, who was it? It was SoftBank. Remember SoftBank was buying a shit ton of call options throughout the entire nuke? Most of those call options were pretty far dated. Hey, Johnny, what's going on? I don't know if you're in my stream right now, but I did send you a message on YouTube. Pradeep BT, you were our first ever member on YouTube. So I wanted to thank you for that. I think you signed up off stream. I don't have any alerts or anything set up for stream just yet, but I did want to thank you for signing up. I did post a comment. If you ever watched this video, you haven't responded to my comment, but if you go check that out on the comment that you posted on my message, make sure to respond to that because I want to help you out. Liquidity is just like, in a very simple term, is just how much is being traded. Like, is there a lot of volume being traded on that stock or that option, right? So if you want to see a good example of liquidity, go look at SPY contracts, right? Go look at their open interest, go look at their volume, and then compare that to, I don't know, uranium. Compare that to URA. And you'll see that the volume and open interest on URA is much, much lower. Hey, I meant a member as in like a YouTube member. It's like their paid sub type thing. We just launched our paid subs earlier this week, and he was the first ever person that signed up. So I wanted to go ahead and thank him for that. But no, I do appreciate you guys that hang out on my stream all the time. You guys are the OGs. I do need to set up alerts for like the member stuff. Ethereum going for another sell-off here. You can see on the 1 minute, once we started to curl back below the ADMA, got a little bearish. Not a whole lot of volume though. Look at the volume. Pretty weak sell volume so far. An entry for Ethereum, if you're looking for like a long-term bid, this is major support, but you have to be willing to take the drawdown to the next major support, which is about 10% away, sadly. Because Ethereum is a little extended here. So if you took the earliest bid, you do have a high chance of getting some drawdown. You shorted Nasdaq from 16.4. What's it at now? It's at, oh yeah, you're up a lot. You're doing really well. 16.4 was that first 618 retrace. Any plans for coding your indicators on Quant Tower? No, I do not have any plans for that. If that ever happened, that'd be like a long time down the road, probably over a year plus. I'm happy with having my indicators on TradingView. Their Pine editor is what I'm familiar with. It's the only thing that I know how to code. Because I taught myself how to code on Pine editor with some help of my coders back in the day. I don't know how to code normally. Like I don't know how to code Python or anything like that. So if I ever wanted to bring my indicators to another platform, I would first have to teach myself how to code. Which I started doing a little while ago, but it's a lot, man. You like I would basically have to stop what I'm doing right now with the Discord and with my live trading to focus on coding to fully understand it, and I'm just not prepared to set aside that much time. And I'm not like I'm not hiring coders to give them my code and have them convert it. Obviously, for proprietary reasons. Let's go back and take a look at Bitcoin here. Ethereum has been in a 3-minute sell. This is what Johnny Dips in Discord always talks about. The 3-minute sells can be massive. And Ethereum is in a 3-minute sell for 13% on the bot. Look at this thing. It's a 13% 3-minute sell. It's disgusting. Usually 3-minute sells are very short, as you can see back here. But when we have these major moves, for some reason, the 3-minute just keeps the signal going for very long. 10% for Bitcoin. Dude, look at Altria. Altria does not care. Altria is up 1.5%. I've got leaps on this. I was going to add to my leaps if we had a sell-off, and there hasn't been a sell-off. It's been doing fairly well the past few days. ES pulling back a little bit here. Bitcoin bouncing a little bit, sell volume very weak. Hey, Brian, you said, what's my overall sentiment on crypto market for December till early January? If we go back to my chart here, I think we're clearly in a downtrend, obviously, until the OTS trail flips green. So that's the main thing I'm watching. And while we're in the downtrend, this is like the first major support. And then this whole area down here is the next major support. And then below that would be here, right? So you're just taking it stage by stage. If we bounce here, it looks pretty good. If we don't bounce here, this is where you would be looking to add on to like very long-term positions. And then if you start losing that, there's a lot of short potential all the way down to like 40,000. And then here's another area where you could add on to long-term positions. But as far as short-term trading goes, you only have like this right here. You could you could long the support test right here, but that's really about it. And then same with Ethereum. You have support showing up right here. If you lose this, there's a lot of short potential all the way down to 3,600 and then maybe 3,300. If you bounce here, you're looking for the OTS trail around 44. To be honest, Darren, everything is most likely everything. Basically, over 90% of altcoins are going to be nuking while Bitcoin and Ethereum are nuking. But yeah, it's definitely a head and shoulders for sure. Probably going to go back down to that pivot around 155. What do we have? 15 minutes left. So far, ES is closing below that pivot. The daily pivot is at 45.15. We talked about this during the morning call today, how these pivots are not always exact bottom signals. With the blue pivots on ES, they like creating these ladder patterns, these stair-stepping patterns, where you have a sell-off, pivot, sell-off, breaks the pivot, and then goes for like a massive bull div, and then it recovers. Kind of like what we did back during COVID. You had that pivot nuked. This entire move was putting in a bottom warning, and then it gave you a very big bull div, and then you pumped. The lower time frame pivots are much better to watch than the daily ones on ES because they're so extremely rare on the indexes. Because there has to be a major price inefficiency for those pivots to be made. The pivots you really want to keep an eye on are the 30-minute and the 1-hour pivots. Look at all these 30-minute pivots we have right here. We have 3 pivots on the same exact level, around 45.08 to 45.10, and we're currently breaking those pivots. Same thing with the 1-hour, 45.15 and 45.08. So the buyers are struggling. Like they're trying really, really hard to hold this low 45 range. If they lose this level, there's a lot of buyers that are trapped here. You always want to watch the 30-minute 200 EMA on SPY and Qs as well. This orangish yellow line here. Once you lose that and it starts descending, you are entering a short-term bear market. So we've been in a short-term bear market since like November 24th, 25th. Same thing on Qs. We've been in around December 1st. Once you started to descend there. So until we reclaim the 30-minute 200s, you're risk off. Or you're looking to buy dips or short-term scalp. You said trading the pivots or trading the value area levels. Which one is better? They're going to give you different levels. So they're not really comparable. Yeah, that's the best I could say. They're just not really comparable. They're going to give you different levels because the value area high, value area low, POC, those are going to give you like little snapshots of that day, right? So like if you look at, let me pull it up on my chart, it'd be a little easier. All right, here we go. So like if you're looking at value area high, value area low, POC, they're going to give you snapshots of like what that current day is doing. It's not going to give you any information on like the overall trend or the overall levels outside of that day, right? So if we were to take the value area high of today, the value area low of today, the POC of today, those are just showing us what's happening today. But if we look at the pivots are taking into account a lot of information, not just information from the current day. And they're giving you support and resistance levels from that widespread information. So they're going to give you different levels. Think of the session volume as more of a snapshot. Like these are little snapshots of each day. Like the beautiful thing about volume profile trading is if I were to go like this and hide the price, I still have a very good understanding of what's happening by just looking at the volume profile levels. Like I know where the value area highs are, I know where the lows are, I know where most of the volume was traded throughout the day. You know what I mean? That's the beautiful thing about trading these levels. How about if you use VPVR? Yeah, so visible range would be more of a snapshot of whatever you're looking at. So like that would give you a snapshot of, let's say, maybe from the all-time high. Like if we wanted to take the all-time high, it's going to give us a snapshot of the all-time high until now. So it's more of a, I was going to say long-term, but it doesn't have to be long-term because you could be using it on a much smaller scale as well. So it's best described as like a snapshot of whatever you want. You could do snapshot of the last hour, of the last week, of the last month. The biggest issue that people have with VPVR is they don't use the proper range for what they're trying to trade. Like, for example, if I'm trying to scalp ES, I do not need a VPVR of this entire price action from the all-time high. That's going to be completely useless for my scalp. I need to go down to like a 15-minute and grab a composite of the past couple of days, or even like just today, you know what I mean? Like you need to keep your visible range to an extent that's going to help you. If you're looking at short-term, you need a short-term visible range. You don't want to be using a weekly visible range for a scalp. Like if I was looking at a visible range, and let me do it this way. This is a lot easier. Like if I grabbed a range from the all-time low, or not all-time low, the COVID low, and then I started like basing my daily trades off this, like, oh, look, the daily's bouncing off this node. That's not really going to work out very well. But if you were using like a weekly or a monthly chart, that would look a lot better because it's such a long composite. It's a composite from what? Almost 623 days. So if you have 623 days, you probably don't want to be using a daily chart. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's go back to the chart here. Getting a nice little bounce. Could go back to VWAP. It's actually a really good bounce. I think we're back above the pivot. Yeah, look at that. We're pumping off this pivot. See if we can get VWAP here. How do you set up volume profile? If you go to indicators, go to built-ins, and then it's under volume profile. And if you want to learn more about it, just go to my How to Trade playlist. I have numerous videos on volume profile. They're all 100% free. They're on YouTube. Feel free to check them out. I have the How to Trade Volume Profile video, which is, I think at this point, like the second most watched volume profile video on YouTube. And then I have the How to Trade Volume Profile series, which is a 5-part series going over a bunch of different techniques that you can use. I recommend watching both of those, and they'll help you out a lot. If you're wondering what my settings are, here are my settings. Where is, I actually don't have it on this one. Let me go over here. If you guys want to pause the video and screenshot these, go ahead. I use number of rows, 100, up, down, 70. I do not extend. I use volume profile, 30%, left placement, black, black, pink, pink. POC is turned on, developing is turned off, developing is turned off again, and histogram is set to 0. Those are the same settings for my VPVR as well. No, the pivot indicator is not free. That is the Oasis trading suite that creates the pivots. It's on our website if you would like to learn more, oasistrading.io. Here is the retest of VWAP. There's the retest of VWAP perfectly on ES. SPY is actually breaking VWAP. The VWAPs are slightly different due to the pre-market session. Qs is also testing VWAP here. Has Nasdaq broke? No, so Nasdaq has not hit VWAP yet. One thing I was mentioning in Discord is look at how wide our VWAP range is today. This is how volatile the day was. From the third deviation to the third deviation on the top, we had a 168 point range. It's pretty massive. Compare that to pre-market, we had a 54 point range. That was a nice little buy signal there. That's not a part of our strategy, but it did give you a nice little 28 points. Not bad at all. Nice little pump on Bitcoin too. Look at Bitcoin over here. Very low buy volume though. Look at the delta. The delta is still extremely bearish. We do need to mark out this level right here. Let's mark out that low. We are reclaiming that low. Not too bad. All right, here is the close. Let's take a look at the weeklies on the indexes real fast. So daily close actually about to recover the 50-day on ES. SPY is recovering the 50-day. ES is recovering as well, bouncing beautifully off that pivot. We are entering a Momo pinch though, which is pretty bad. It actually was kind of pinching with the past few candles. Let's see, where are the weeklies? Yeah, very bearish weekly here. New weekly low. The retrace was quickly sold off. Retesting the previous all-time high though and holding, so that looks pretty decent. Let's take a look at Nasdaq. Same thing on Nasdaq. Retesting the previous all-time high. A little bit of a buy pressure on the bottom. Bad sell pressure on the top. Very nasty close on Russell, losing the 50-week and the OTS trail, and giving a red bar on the OTS. Pretty nice close on Dow Jones, though, holding support, nice little bottom doji. That's not too bad. Weekly close on oil is also trying to hold support, but not too pretty on that. We don't have the weekly closes on Bitcoin and Ethereum until Sunday, but as of right now, little weak on Bitcoin, retesting a big support. And then Ethereum, very ugly close on Ethereum. If we don't recover that, that looks pretty bad. It's funny, Ethereum on the daily looked much better. But now on the weekly, it looks horrible. Also, very bad monthly on Bitcoin. Horrendous monthly. One of the worst monthlies we've seen in a long time because of that pivot. We have a pivot at 57.7, and the monthly close in November nuked the pivot and closed below it. And now on December, we popped up to retest it and then sold off. That is bad, bad news. Very bad news. You probably will see another continued sell-off on the higher time frames, most likely. But for now, Bitcoin on the daily, you do have a small bull div coming in. You are holding that pivot, so the support is holding. It's also holding the anchored VWAP. Which one is this? This is the anchored VWAP from the local low. So the local low is being tested, the anchored VWAP from the local low. The anchored VWAP from the previous all-time high is around 48.5. Yeah, hopefully we have a Santa rally this year. Miss it in action. this would be the one year that we may not see a Santa Claus rally, but we'll see. But all right, guys, I'm going to call it. I'm not going to keep you guys on a Friday. Appreciate you guys being here as always. This weekend, make sure to check out the summary markets on Sunday. Will be probably around 4 p.m. Eastern. Monday, we'll be coming back with the morning call at 9 a.m. in Discord, and then 9:30 for our standard trading day. And then we'll be back in the live stream at 3 p.m. Eastern. For next week, all this week for our morning call, we just did it live in Discord, and then I recorded it on OBS, and then I posted the video once it was done uploading, which took about 20 to 30 minutes. Next week, I'm going to try to live stream them on YouTube for you guys in Discord. So if you guys missed, like maybe you come in like 5 minutes late, you can just go back in the live stream instead of having to wait for the video to be done. We'll see how that goes next week. We'll test that out. The problem is I dual stream. I dual stream on Twitch and YouTube, so I have to change all of my settings to set that up. So we'll see how it goes. But all right, guys, you guys have a good weekend. I'll see you guys on Monday. Make sure to hit that like button if you guys like the content. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to YouTube, and I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a good weekend, guys.